Well, today we are honored to have Jeremy Gifford, the owner of Got Your Six Appliance Repair, based in Denton, Texas. And Jeremy's company has recently been named a finalist in the Most Professional Servicer contest that's put on by United Appliance Servicers Association in the 1 to 2 technician category. It's a significant achievement just getting on the finalist list. And Jeremy talks about where he came from, what he did to even be nominated for this, let alone be chosen as one of the top 3 candidates, and what he's doing next. And if he were to do it all over again, what would he do? What kind of advice would he give himself? You're not going to want to miss this one. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Amped Up Podcast, the ultimate show for appliance repair and HVAC business owners who want to take their success to the next level. Brought to you by Appliance Marketing Pros. This podcast is packed with actionable insights on marketing, business growth, leadership, and more, designed to amp up your growth. Get ready to power up your business with strategies that deliver results. Let's get started. This is the Amped Up Podcast.
All right, Jeremy Gifford, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have you here and to talk about you getting on the list for the Most Professional Servicers Award.
Mike, thank you so much. It's truly an honor to be here. I still am even shocked that I am here for this. It's incredibly humbling. And those of y'all that don't know, United Appliance Services Association does a contest every year for Most Professional Servicer. It's not picked by United Appliance Services Association. It's you submit your information, and people from the supply houses, people from manufacturer, people that we'll never know who they are, they're the ones that look at all my information and say, that's somebody that I think is professional. And how I take that, they're saying, that's somebody I would let in my house to work on my stuff. And these are people in the industry. And that's what means so much to me, is it's my peers. It's the people in my industry, in appliance repair, saying, I'm impressed. He is elite.
So let's talk about that.
Let's
talk about the elite of who Jeremy Gifford is. So before we get into, a lot of the other things and topics we're going to talk about, why don't you start by giving us a little bit of a background of yourself and how did you get inspired to start Got Your Six Appliance Repair?
So first and foremost, it's my dad. My dad worked for GE Appliances long before I was born. He was a service tech, and I grew up in this industry. My dad, when he got home and our washing machine was broke, and any other appliance repairman out here are going to know this. You don't want to work on your own stuff when you get home. Absolutely not. There's an old saying, the cobbler's kids wears no shoes. We have some of the most broken stuff.
When I was in the auto industry, we always said we work on everybody's cars but our own.
Yeah. So I remember, and I think I was probably about 10 years old. And for all the people that have been doing this a long time, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. We had the first generation T-line GE washing machines. And we had a transmission go out on them. I grew up in a family of 6. You can't be without a washer at all. So my dad came home from work. He grabbed his chair and his toolbox. He said, okay, Jeremy, come in here. You're going to change this transmission. No clue how. I've always enjoyed taking things apart. It was the putting back together that was hard at first. So my dad actually sat there in his chair and just supervised me rebuilding a top load washing machine back in the early 90s. that was my first time ever actually fixing an appliance. Now, fast forward a little bit. I swore I never wanted to do this. Like growing up, seeing my dad come home and talking about, cleaning sumps out of dishwashers, like that does not sound fun. So I decided to join the military, and I was an electronics tech, third-class petty officer in the Navy. And then I injured my knee and got a medical discharge, and so I came home after that, and I got a job at the cable company, climbing telephone poles and running cable lines and all that fun stuff. So my dad called me up and said, "Hey, GE's hiring. They're doing this apprenticeship program. You interested?" I said, "Sure." So I went and applied, talked to my dad's boss at the time, and he hired me that day. I went up to Louisville and did training and all this other stuff. Came home and worked with GE for right at 20 years. And my wife and I had talked about it for at least the 10 years prior about me leaving and starting my own. But it was always, I was scared. And that's the easiest answer I can put it to. I was scared. I had a safe job with good pay, good benefits, great vacation. I was scared to take that jump. So
but everybody says start a business. It's easy. You'll make tons of money.
Well, okay, those people haven't started a business because, well, it's not. And all y'all know that. It's also the most rewarding thing. I've got 4 kids. I'm married to a beautiful wife of almost 20 years. They are way more rewarding than my business. But after my family, this is pretty much the coolest thing I've ever done. To see it come to where it is today. And for those of y'all that don't know, I started this in July of 22. We're at 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing to be where you're at. And full disclosure, Jeremy is one of my clients as well. So at Appliance Marketing Pros, we've been working with Jeremy, a little more than a year and a half.
2 years is almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. So it's been a while. So we've gotten to know each other pretty well. And
consider you one of my friends, not just someone that I work with.
Yeah. So I mean, when I first met you, I obviously saw Got Your Six, and I thought immediately, this guy's a military man. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen that name. So it piqued my curiosity of what you did in the military, what branch you were in, and all that stuff. And, what the origin of your company's name is, and the significance of it. Right. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
So number one, again, you can see it on the banner behind me. You can see it on my shirt. What most of y'all can't see, it's also on my arm. Now that's about 10 years old. Again, the company's not even 3 yet. So first and foremost, and this is a huge factor that I'm not going to say I'm a smart genius when it comes to any of this, but I guess I did one thing right. You see so many companies out there, Bob's Appliance Company, LJS, I live in Denton, Texas. Actually, I live in a little town outside of it, but Denton's the closest big city. So Denton Appliance Repair. All those are forgetful.
Branding is important.
I tried to figure out what I was going to name the company for 2 months before I ever did anything. One day I was sitting at the computer and I looked down at my arm and I saw it. And it was the light bulb moment. It just went off. I said, yeah, it's Got Your Six. Now, to those of y'all that don't know what Got Your Six means, imagine you're the center of a clock. 12 o'clock's in front of you, 3 o'clock's to your right, 9 o'clock's to your left, 6 is your back. The reason that's used in the military, if somebody says, hey, there's someone on your right, that's 180 degrees of your person. That's way too big of an area. If someone says on your 2, on your 5, that gives you a very specific direction to aim. So got your six is a very simplistic way of saying got your back. Now, what's more important than that, in the English language, the semicolon is used in place of a period when a sentence isn't over. And I use that definition of it very, very much on purpose. Teal is the color for post-traumatic stress disorder. And then the red on the six represents, on average, 22 veterans a day take their own life to dealing with PTSD. So when you add all of that together, that logo behind me, very simply says, your sentence isn't over. I've got your back. Don't be one of the 22. Ultimately, it's a calling card to my brothers and sisters saying, you're not out there alone. I may not know exactly what you're going through, but I will stand with you. I will crawl on broken glass to be with you. You're not out there alone. Do not finish your sentence.
Well, I personally think that branding is brilliant. Just brilliant. And it has such meaning behind it. And I'm sure your customers love hearing that story and the meaning.
And on a side note, because again, I didn't think this part through, especially guys, how often are you watching a war movie? Got your six in action movies has become very common vernacular. So now I jokingly say, now every time you watch an action movie and you hear got your six, you're going to think of me.
Yep. See, it's brilliant.
Never thought about that when I was naming it though.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool though. And that's, so I know you've had Jason on here and talked to him, and he's really good friends with Dan Antonelli. Dan Antonelli has written numerous books on the subject, and he's one of the, I guess, leading experts.
I interviewed him on the Service Alliance podcast for his Branded Not Blanded book.
Exactly. And I guess, in a sense, without ever even knowing who Dan Antonelli is, I guess I'm not blanded.
You are definitely not. It would be kind of cool to hear what he has to say. Maybe I'll send him this podcast and ask him for some feedback.
That would be awesome. I would be really interested to hear what he says.
Yeah, I'll hit him up after this. But thank you for your service, by the way. Let me just stop right now and thank you for your service, because I think it's really important to thank veterans for their service, no matter what capacity they served in. I think it's really important. So let's get back to achieving the professional recognition that we're here to talk about. So being named a finalist in the Most Professional Servicers Contest, it's a remarkable accomplishment. Just making the finalist list. You're already there. In my opinion, it doesn't matter if you're third or first, because there are three, right? So there's only three in each category. You're in the 1 to 2 technician category.
Correct.
And so tell me, what aspects of your business do you believe contributed the most to this recognition?
So what aspect the most? That's a hard one, because number one, and yes, this is a shameless plug, Mike, my website. And Mike can tell you this for a fact. I built a cool little GoDaddy website because that's all I knew how to do. It looked okay, I guess. It was not functional. It was not a functional website at all. I fix appliances. I am not a computer guy. One of my favorite quotes is, you don't know what you don't know. So one huge thing that I would say, Mike Carson, you're the reason that I'm here. I know you don't really want me to be, giving you the accolades, but you are.
Maybe a little tiny piece.
My website is amazing. I remember whenever I was talking to you in 2020, in February 2023 in San Antonio, we were specifically talking about it. And at that time, I was only 6 months in. And I was talking to you about it, and I was like, man, I would love to hire you, but I can't afford you. And then you're like, well, hold on. I'm thinking about doing something different. And as far as I know, I was your guinea pig for ultimately what became AMP Marketing.
You definitely were the first.
So, I mean, I think it's you did a complete, in a good sense, you did a complete pivot on your entire mission statement. And
oh yeah, it's been completely rewritten.
Because now it's like, hey, I can help you take this from nothing. And in 2 years, because like I said, that was February of 23. I promise you, in February of 23, I was nowhere near most professional servicer. I would have been laughed out of even giving the submission.
I've definitely watched you grow a lot in a lot of different areas, and that is in no part, all me. I'm not. I know that there are many people involved.
Oh,
in
well, first off, and this one is another one that I'm going to say. You're not ever going to get to where you want to be in a bubble. It's not going to happen. If I started listing names, I'm going to forget somebody. Somebody's probably going to get a little hurt if I do that.
There's too many.
There is a ton of people that I would say are responsible for lifting me and elevating me to where I am right now. I thrive on competition. I don't know if everyone else, like me and my son go work out, I have to lift at least 5 pounds more than him. I can't let him win. That's how I thrive at business too. Oh, probably one of my closest friends is EJ. EJ, you're doing this? Yeah, so am I now. I'm gonna beat you to market on it too. So
you might want to be real careful with that. Sometimes.
I know. Believe me, I know.
Get a second opinion. I love EJ, but so tell us more about the most professional servicer. Let's talk a little bit about the process of this and what that looks like, and how much of it is we're talking about your website, your online presence, things like that, but that's just a piece of it. So how much of it is your technician presentation and uniformity, your role of the brand, service, your vehicles being lettered, besides having an online presence and social media presence?
So some of the things they ask for whenever you're submitting your MPS packet, obviously they want your website. They want your Google listing. They do ask for a Yelp listing, which, I'm not going to lie, I didn't put my Yelp listing. I put a second GMB, or whatever Google calls it now. I'm not
GBP.
a big Yelp. Then they ask for your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your YouTube page if you have one, which I do, but it's not active, so I didn't list it. TikTok, again, I don't even have TikTok anymore. I found I wasted way too much time on TikTok. Then they want pictures of your techs in uniform. They want pictures of your vehicles. How are your vehicles branded? Is it consistent? Guys, is your truck clean? Do you have things like, do you have giant dents on your truck? We only get one chance to make a first impression. It's all you're ever going to get. Show up. My trucks are all lettered. Now they're not fully wrapped. That is, eventually I would like to fully wrap my trucks. I've already got a design that I want in my head. Right now they're just lettered. One of the cool things that I personally did on all my lettering, like my phone number is 940-600-3962. One of the cool things I did to keep on brand, anytime there's a 6 anywhere on my truck, that 6 is red. So even in my phone number, it's 940 in black, red 6, 0039, red 6, 2.
I love it.
It sounds silly, but it catches your eye. What can you do different that catches your customer eye. In a
Well,
sense,
one thing that I want to point out that you mentioned is consistency. Having things consistent branding, and that comes down to your uniform colors, your logo on your shirts. Like you said, the red 6. It's paying attention to those minute details that make the difference and makes you stand out.
then, of course, they also want to see, where's your office? What's your office look like? Now, if you don't have an office, if you're still working out of your house, okay. Now, I guess this is a little bit of a good segue here. At the advice of Mike Carson, my first Google business page is my house. That's where I started. But I don't live in the primary area I wanted to service. So when you type in appliance repair near me, Google's looking for a physical address and actual physical distance to that customer. So without even thinking, Mike's like, hey, get an office. Get an office.
You need a physical location, because your first GMB or Google Business Profile was a service area business that didn't list your address. So
And then we first
I advised you, if you want to rank in Denton, which I forgot how many miles away that is from your home,
about 12.
So that's outside the ranking parameters, because it's outside the ranking proximity. So what I advised is, Jeremy, you need another location that's a physical location in Denton, and you have to pay for an office, and the ROI is going to be way more than you're going to pay for that office.
So I'll talk on that for a second, because prior to opening this office, I was spending more in Google Ads than what I spend now, if you include my Google ad budget plus my office rent.
Yeah. A lot of people don't really get that. They don't think that that's how it's going to be. They look at it as an expense instead of an investment. And I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong, and it's all perspective, and you have to have the right perspective. But a physical office with a Google Business Profile that shows an address will far outrank any service area business listing of any kind, because Google will always give preference to a physical location with the address displayed.
And then some of the other things that they're looking for. What's your signage? Like, what are customers seeing? A great example of that is I've got tool mats, and my tool mats are nothing more than an Amazon custom gaming mouse pad. It's about 16 inches wide by about 30 inches long. My tools never touch a customer's countertop. I always bring that mat in, lay that mat down, put my tool bag on that. I can't tell you how many remarks, and quite honestly, even in the reviews where people mention that I take such care that I don't even put something on their counters. It really, again, it's the small things. And then the leave behinds. What are you leaving your customer? Number one, in appliance repair, I don't see a point for business cards. I've got some. I don't even carry business cards anymore.
They just get thrown away.
Magnets. Now, I'm probably in the minority. I hate things on my refrigerator. I don't like magnets.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
And I told, for the first year, I only use business cards because I hate magnets. And then my wife, who without question is way smarter than me, one day said, why don't you have magnets? And I said, I hate them. And she says, I don't care. Customers love them. She's right. I don't care anything about magnets now.
And you know what? Magnets work on the side of your fridge just as well as they do the front.
You're right.
Because that's where all of our magnets are.
See, I don't even like them on the side of my fridge. But
right,
that's a personal preference. And that's the other thing I had to learn really quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeremy's personal preference doesn't matter. What does my customer want? How can I serve them most effectively? And that magnet keeps me at front of mind.
Absolutely. You got to have those leave behinds. I think that's great. So in today's age, how crucial has your online presence been in attracting and retaining your customers?
Oh, besides just, and don't get me wrong, SEO, website, all that's great. But don't sleep on Facebook. Now, do I run Facebook ads? No. Facebook ads, I don't really see that great of a target. Your community groups. Start in your community groups. Start where you know people. Some of them you can't join because they're neighborhood specific and they won't let you in. But especially if you got friends in those areas, hey, if you see somebody asking for appliance repair, do me a favor and recommend me. And now it's really cool because in a lot of the smaller cities around me, in my primary areas, I'm part of all these groups, and I see somebody, my dryer's broken or my washing machine's leaking, or great one we had is today, my fridge is down and I'm going to lose my entire Christmas dinner. Did anyone know of a good appliance repairman? It's cool. After 2 years, I don't even comment on those anymore. And it's weird to say a fan base, but I've got enough of a fan base. I looked at one yesterday. It had 27 comments. 26 were recommending me.
That's awesome.
And absolutely no one that I know them because they're customers. No friends, no family, these are all customers that are saying, hey, these guys are great.
And that reinforces that you're doing something right. Referral-based marketing works, and it works well. And the people that come to you, they trust the other people that referred you, especially when there's multiple people in a group referring you.
Oh, yeah.
And you should be in those groups because you definitely want to be thanking those people who referred you. And if you're not thanking them, you should be, hey, even if it's just to say, hey, thanks for the mention. That's all you have to do. And in a lot of these neighborhood groups, even though they're locked down and you technically have to be a part of the community, but if there's enough people in that community that's recommending you, and you reached out to the admins and say, hey, I'm getting feedback that we're getting mentioned a lot in your group. I would really like to jump in and just thank people and not market myself, but just be there to answer questions, and be helpful. And I think that would go a long way. And most admins would not have a problem with that.
I'm going to actually interject there another thing, though. Be respectful of these groups. If they say no promotion, don't do it. I don't post in these groups hardly ever. The only time I really post in them at all is whenever I see somebody specifically asking about appliance repair. And there's been more than once where, it's something simple, or it's not the appliance, or I've given people the answer on how to fix it more than once without me ever actually setting up a call. It's not all about every customer shouldn't necessarily have a call booked. Some of these that is a 2-second fix, or if they're posting a picture of a dishwasher that has a locked control and you see the lock button on there and it's locked, tell them to push the buttons to unlock it. You don't need your trip charge that bad.
That's going to go a lot further. And when other people see that you're being helpful like that, then they're going to be more apt to call you as well when they have an issue that isn't just a button that needs to be pushed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
also on your own business Facebook page, you don't have to constantly be selling yourself. I do some weird, stupid posts. Like, for example, last Saturday was Army-Navy game. My entire family's Army. I'm Navy. So Saturday morning, I got on Facebook and got your Sixes page and typed out the hashtags, Go Navy, Beat Army. Anyone that knows the Army-Navy game, it's either Go Navy, Beat Army, or Go Army, Beat Navy. That's just the way it is. I got no problem saying that. It's my page.
No, you got to have fun in your business, right? You got to show your personality. I think it's really important to show your personality in your business.
Also, if you're having a hard time coming up with things, Google search what is today? Or give me a calendar this month. Not long ago, there was a National Cheesecake Day. So I found a stock image of some cheesecake. And I said, okay, quick poll. What's your favorite cheesecake? Nothing to do with appliances. I like cheesecake.
But it goes along with social engagement, which is it's a social signal for your business. So,
Yeah.
All right. So advice to fellow appliance repair professionals. What key pieces of advice would you offer to other appliance repair companies that are aiming for professional excellence in industry recognition the way you've just been recognized?
So number one, and this one is probably the most driving force behind it. I told y'all my dad worked for GE. I started with GE. Me and my dad worked together for a year. He gave me the best piece of advice. It's what I built my company on. Treat your customer like it's your mom. You'll do okay. There's no reason to take advantage of people. There's no reason to charge more than what you have to. And treat people fair, and they will treat you fair. I'm a big believer in there's way more good people than bad people. Not everyone's out there trying to get over on you. Number two, you don't know what you don't know. I've got one other tech and a CSR. That's technically all the people on my payroll. It's not all the people on my team. I've got my CPA. I've got my bookkeepers. I've got my website and SEO guy that I'm talking to right now. I've got a friend of mine that does human resources for another company that gives me advice for free. That's a pretty cool one. But all these people I consider part of the Got Your Six family. Your parts supplier. Talk to them. Make nice to them. I've got one of my local parts supplier that in his area, he's recommending me in where he lives to people. Just be nice. That's probably the simplest way to put it. Just be nice. It costs you nothing. I know it costs you nothing to be mean also, but it could cost you everything.
It can cost you everything. That's so true. So let's talk about your lessons learned, since we're talking about things like that. Lessons learned about your business operations, insights on scaling and maintaining growth, all the stuff that goes along with growing a business, right? If you could go back 2.5 years to when you were starting out and see yourself and walk up to yourself, what advice would you give yourself?
Number one, and this is probably the most vital thing, and I made a big mistake for about 5 months. Own your brand. If you don't own your brand, if you don't have access to your data, if you don't know where the calls are coming from, run. I was using another guy to manage my Google AdWords and my LSA. I remember I talked to him and I was trying to find out about information on a call, and he specifically said, I asked for my LSA password. Do you realize how stupid that sounds? I asked for my LSA password.
Log into your own account.
He said, oh, we don't do that. And I think that's the day that it hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't have access to my own information. That means I don't own my own brand at that point. So as soon as he told me that, I said, okay, we're done. You don't work for me anymore. You are not running my LSA anymore. You're not running my AdWords. If you do not own my brand. So I immediately had him shut it down. I verified he shut it down. He tried backpedaling and giving me all this information. But I'm also, I'm a little rigid. I'm a little stuck in my ways. If you've broken my trust, it's almost impossible to regain it.
I remember talking to you. It was within an hour after all that happened. And I remember you coming up to me and telling me, "Hey, I just did this. What can you help me with some stuff?" And I remember sitting in the lobby of the hotel with you on your laptop, helping you figure. I don't even remember what we were trying to figure out, but you were asking me a million questions. But it was like on all this just general stuff, and I'm like, okay, you need this, this, and this, and this. But I know you had already had that conversation at that point.
Yeah.
And I remember walking away at some point for some reason, and probably to get another beer at the bar or something. But you walked up to me and you're like, "I fired that previous guy and I want you to help me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that was a little bit of a light bulb moment, and I remember you telling me that someone else had said something to you that like set all of that in motion. And like you were in another class or something.
It was actually an ASTI.
It was at ASTI. It was a couple years ago at ASTI.
It was one on Google about one of the key things they had during that class is keep your IP. It's your IP. Don't let somebody steal your IP.
Yeah. I remember you saying something about that, and I don't remember all the details, but I mean, it's been a couple years and I'm old and forgetful sometimes, but I remember there was something along those lines, and I was like, oh, wow. Somebody said something in class and then the crap hit the fan.
That day is whenever you said, let me think about it. Let me figure it out. But I think I might be able to do something for you. And quite honestly, again, I'm not going to take credit for it, but that kind of was the birth of AMP.
Yeah. I mean, a long time in the making, but it's gone through another iteration, but here we are.
Yeah.
So as far as your future plans and aspirations, looking ahead, what are your goals for Got Your Six Appliance Repair in the next few years?
So, I mean, let's even go to the next 12 months. What's my goals for 2025? Number one, I plan on opening up 2 more GBPs this year. That means paying for 2 more offices in 2 more areas, that one of which I already have a website built for, but I don't have the GBP for it. The other one, again, it goes to knowing, do your research. There's an area that is in my service area, but I don't actively advertise really well. But the median household income is more than double the areas that I actively pay to advertise in, the ones I actively push. Why am I not in that one that has twice the median income?
Yeah. How many of you out there know your numbers of your demographics in your service area? I don't think there's many. I mean, you might know where the low income areas are because you've been there and you don't want to go there. And you might know some of the higher, but do you actually know those demographic numbers?
And now, quite honestly, that's one that only hit me probably about a month ago. Now, there's a lot of planning that goes into it and a lot of getting ready for all that. So is that particular one, I plan on probably about third quarter, maybe right after the summer rush. Another one is I plan on bringing another tech on in 2025. Now, this is kind of cool. My current tech that I have called us up and asked if we were hiring. He's been doing it for 40 years, and he reached out to us. The one that I plan on hiring, and again, this goes back to the Got Your Six military tie-in. I'm really excited. I've never even met this guy. I've talked to him once or twice. Currently, he's in Germany. He's 38 years old. In May, he retires from the Army. He's an electronics tech in the Army. He's going to get out, come back home to the Denton area, and he wants to learn appliance repair. What a better fit.
Since he's an electronics tech in the Army and you were an electronics tech in the Navy, you're obviously going to have to do a lot of training with him. Because, the Army's not as good as the Navy.
So, and I actually haven't talked to him, but it would be really cool if his MOS specifically was tied to my rate. Like, I was an electronics tech third class petty officer, but I was specialized in a very specific item. That item lives in the Navy and it lives in the Army both. It would be really cool if this guy is the exact same job that I did. That would be really awesome to me.
Well, if you hire him, all I got to say is I'm coming down to watch some one-on-one football between you two.
Oh, that ain't going to happen. I don't, no. Now, that being said, so my current tech, he is not military. However, he's an Air Force brat, and his son-in-law is currently stationed in Guam, and he's getting out in April. So even though he's not military per se, he has very deep ties to the military. My CSR, her husband is a Texas State Trooper and an Army National Guard reservist.
You got it all covered, sounds like.
We have a huge military tie-in, and it's something that's important to me. It's my brand, and it's not just, am I only going to hire vets or somebody tied to vets or somebody tied to the military? No. But I don't think I would ever be able to keep somebody that was a not active supporter of the military, because it's so.
I mean, it's the core of who you are and who your business is.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. Well, we're going a little long on this one, so we could be here all day. Jeremy, it has been enlightening to hear about your journey and the principles that have guided you and got your six, all the way to the success that you're at now. And I know that there's a lot more to come. So we'll be watching you.
Not only that, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to personally, give this to all your viewers. Again, you're not going to go anywhere alone. So flat out, if anyone out there has any questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. There is no such thing.
Move your head and show them your phone number and email are right there.
Well, that's my office number, but it will go to Emily, and she will be more than happy to get a hold of me. But that is my direct email address. So send me a message. Find me on Facebook. Send something there. I'm not just here to grow Got Your Six. I know this is the AMP podcast, but it would be remiss for me to say that you're also part owner of the Service Alliance Group.
Yes.
And one of the things that brought me to the Service Alliance Group, after I left GE, was the Service Alliance Group's slogan, to elevate the industry.
That's our goal.
And that's something that really hit home with me, because that's my goal. I'm tired of people thinking we're the sleazy used car salesman. We're not there to rip people off. So number one, I want to get the used car salesman out. And quite honestly, if you are that used car salesman, if you're not doing it the right way, call me. I'll help you change it. Let's elevate it. Let's make it to where people look at us like they look at the other quote unquote professional trades, the electricians, the plumbers, the HVAC. Why do we have a worse reputation than them? I don't think we should.
Something to ponder from the guy in Ponder.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you, anyone and everyone that's watching. I truly am blessed to be nominated. Again, I won already, but it's also not just a win for me. It's a win for everyone that's even had any hand in Got Your Six. I wouldn't be here without y'all, and that's probably what I want to say the most.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. And again, listeners, if you have any questions, reach out to Jeremy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amped Up Podcast. If you're ready to take your appliance repair business to the next level, visit us at ApplianceMarketingPros.com. Discover how we can help you amp up your growth with expert marketing strategies designed just for appliance repair companies. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time on the Amped Up Podcast.